Hello, everyone. Today we are tackling a topic that is deeply rooted in our Filipino identity, yet it's one of the most dangerous financial traps for young professionals. When is the best time to buy a house in the Philippines? But before that, let me tell you about myself. I am 25 years old. Right now, I am renting. I work hard, I manage my income streams carefully, and by most traditional Filipino standards, I should be looking at pre-selling brochures for a townhouse in Cavite or a condo in Pasig. My relatives ask me every gathering, when are you gonna get your own house? Rent is such a waste. But I am renting, and I am doing it by choice. Right now, my priority isn't owning dirt, it's liquidity. While society tells us to buy a house as soon as we have stable income, I am choosing to build wealth through mutual funds and Pag-IBIG MP2. There is an idea instilled in us from childhood. Ang upa parang tinatapon mo lang ang pera. We are taught that a mortgage is an automatic asset. But here is the reality check. If you go into this decision willy-nilly, your dream house becomes a pasalo in the long run. I recently encountered a thread on Reddit on r/phinvest titled Best Time to Buy a House. And it was a wake-up call. I saw so many stories of people trapped in debt they couldn't sustain because they focused on the dream and ignored the math. Today, we're going to look at the statistics of 2026 and why renting is a powerful tool for those of us still building our foundations. To answer when is the best time, we have to look at the world outside our window. In 2026, the Philippine real estate market is undergoing a strategic recalibration. As of this April, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has adjusted the benchmark rate to 4.5%. For you, this means commercial bank mortgage rates are hovering between 7% and 9% for fixed terms. Let's look at the math the developers won't show you. If you borrow 5 million pesos at an 8% interest rate for 20 years, your monthly payment would roughly be 41,800 pesos. Over 20 years, you will pay back a total of over 10 million pesos. You paid for the house once, and then you pay the bank for a second house in interest. Furthermore, recent data shows a cooling trend. In late 2025, the residential price index grew by only 1.9% year on year. In some quarters, prices actually fell. There is currently an oversupply of mid-market units, which gives us, the buyers, leverage. You don't need to rush. The FOMO that drove prices up in 2023 is dead. In 2026, time is on the side of the saver, not the borrower. If you scroll through Facebook Marketplace today, you'll see thousands of pasalo ads. This is the ghost of bad financial planning. Why does this happen? It's almost always the low monthly trap. Developers offer zero down payment or 15,000 a month for the first 2 years. This is the honeymoon phase. But once that pre-selling period ends and the bank takes out the loan for the remaining 80%, that 15K jumps to 45K because of that interest rate. But there is a nuance here that people miss. The legal danger. Many pasalo deals are done through a transfer of rights. But in the eyes of the bank, the original buyer is still the debtor. If the person you sold it to stops paying, the bank comes after your credit score. It is a legal minefield that exists because someone didn't follow the 33 rule. First, the 30% rule. Your monthly mortgage payment should never exceed 30% of your gross monthly income. Second, the 3x rule. The total price of the house should not exceed 3 times your annual household income. If you earn 60,000 pesos a month, your target house price is 2.1 million pesos. If you're looking at a 5 million peso condo on that salary, You are statistically inviting a pasalo situation. Let's talk about a situation many of us face in 2026: job volatility. We live in an era where entire industries can be disrupted in 6 months. If your position is at all shaky, a mortgage is a noose. Think about this. You have a 40,000 peso mortgage, you lose your job. In the Philippines, the foreclosure process can start after just 3 to 6 months of missed payments. You might think, I'll just sell it. But real estate is illiquid. In a cooling market like 2026, it can take 12 months to sell a property at a fair price. If you're desperate, you sell at the fire sale price, losing all your equity. When you rent, your maximum liability is your security deposit. If your project ends or your company restructures, you can move to a smaller place with 30 days notice. When you own, your liability is the entire balance of the loan. The bank does not care if your client's business failed. At 25, our life is still in beta. Renting allows you to follow the money. If a better opportunity opens up in Cebu or abroad, a renter can move. A homeowner is anchored to a debt that limits their career risks. Then there's the settle down dilemma. Are you sure you want to live in this specific subdivision for the next 20 years? Think about the infrastructure projects happening right now. The Metro Manila subway and the North-South commuter railway, these are fundamentally changing which areas are prime. If you buy now in an area that isn't transit-oriented, your property value might stagnate while the areas near the stations skyrocket. Renting allows you to test drive a neighborhood. It lets you see if the drainage system actually works during a typhoon, or if the commute is actually manageable. Buying a house willy-nilly before you know your long-term life plans is a 20-year bet on a lifestyle you might outgrow in the next 2 years. In 2026, agility is more valuable than equity. People tell you rent is thrown away, but they never talk about the money thrown away on home ownership. Let's look at the hidden leaks. First, real property tax, or amilyar. In 2026, as municipalities reassess land values, your taxes are going up. Second, association dues. In some condos, you're paying 100 pesos per square meter. That's 3,000 pesos to 5,000 pesos a month just for the right to walk through the lobby. Third, maintenance. When you rent, a broken water pump is the landlord's problem. When you own, that's 15,000 pesos out of your pocket. When you add up interest, taxes, dues, and repairs, the amount of unrecoverable costs in owning a house is often higher than the cost of renting an equivalent unit. While I am renting, I am using the invest the difference strategy. My monthly rent is 7,000 pesos. That is incredibly lean. Now compare that to a mortgage for even a modest entry-level townhouse, which would likely run you at least 25,000 pesos. Once you factor in the high interest rates of 2026, that is an 18,000 peso difference every single month. Every month, I take that 18,000 peso and I split it. I put a significant portion into Pag-IBIG MP2. The 2025 dividend was a record 7.12%. It's tax-free, government guaranteed, and compounds. In a 20-year horizon, the homeowner has paid millions in interest. The renter who stayed in the 7,000 peso unit and invested that 18,000 peso difference has a portfolio worth roughly 3 million pesos. When I finally decide to buy, I won't be begging a bank for a 90% loan. I'll walk in with a massive down payment. My mortgage will be tiny, and I will be bank-proof. I'm not throwing money away on rent. I am buying the time and capital to own my future outright. So, back to that Reddit thread. When is the best time to buy? It's not when the market is low. It's when your personal finances are boring. Do not buy until you can check these boxes. 1. The 20% rule. You have a 20% down payment saved in cash, not from a personal loan, but from your own discipline. 2. The 12-month rule. You have a 12-month emergency fund separate from the down payment. This is your life insurance for the house. 3. The 33 rule. The price fits your current stable income, not a future promotion. 4. The 10-year rule. You are ready to stay in that location for a decade. If you can't check those boxes, keep renting. There is no shame in it. In fact, in the 2026 economy, staying liquid and mobile is a competitive advantage. Renting buys you the flexibility to grow your income and the capital to invest in high-yield vehicles like MP2. Don't let an instilled idea from a different economic era ruin your financial freedom. Your parents bought in a time when land was cheaper and wages were closer to property prices. That world is gone. We have to be smarter. Build your wealth first. The house will still be there when you're actually ready to own it, and not just pay for it for the rest of your life. If you want to see the specific math on how these numbers play out over a 20-year period, I actually created a previous video titled Renting versus Buying in 2026. I'll link it below and in the end screen. In that video, I break down the historical decoupling of wages and property prices that explains why our generation faces a different reality than our parents did. Stay wise, stay invested, keep your expenses low and your savings high. Please like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want to see topics like this. And I'll see you on the next one.